So last week, I posted this picture on my Instagram. And the comments went something like, "Slay Queen," or "Oh my God, the confidence." And even though deep down, this is what I posted the picture for, I didn't really feel all that much better. I mean, I didn't even feel confident, even though someone was telling me I was confident. And this doesn't just happen with me. The Greitmeyer study and the official Dunning-Kruger study both show that the most attractive and intelligent individuals, so people that we would put somewhere around here on a scale of 1 to 10, consistently underestimate themselves, meaning they rate themselves somewhere around a 6. So they've got the whole world telling them that they are beautiful or intelligent, but they don't believe it. And yet we walk around thinking that once other people think we're capable or smart or confident, we'll finally start to believe it. Clearly, that's not the case. And I think it's because of something economists call information asymmetry. Information asymmetry occurs when one party has more or better information than another in a transaction. So imagine you're selling a car. Now, despite this car's nice, shiny yellow exterior, you know that sometimes the engine kind of gives up on you in the morning and the brakes don't really hold. But an unsuspecting buyer walks up, sees the shiny exterior and says, "Wow, what a perfect car. I'll give you $50,000 for it." Now you feel like a scammer because you know something they don't know. Just like that, that is how we process compliments when we have low self-esteem. Think about that Instagram picture again. What my followers see is a 1080 pixel snapshot with a perfectly nonchalant caption. At the end of the day, it's low resolution information. But the way I see my life, the information I'm getting, it's 8K, raw footage, and a 360-degree view. I see the 3 times I snoozed my alarm this morning, which, in my defense, the snooze button is clearly conspiring against me. I see the unfinished project on my table that I'm definitely starting tomorrow. And I see the internal cringe that I have every time I make a joke that doesn't land. So based on the information that my followers have, I am killing it, but that's low resolution information. And based on the information that I have, I'm a high definition mess. That is exactly what information asymmetry is. Just like the car seller knows more about the flaws of the car than the buyer, we know more about our own flaws than all of our followers. And listen, we can trick our friends, our followers, even our partners, but we cannot trick our own minds. Your mind is keeping a meticulous log of everything you do. That's that raw footage I was talking about. Your mind knows every shortcut you took and every mistake and every excuse, all your procrastinated hours and your missed workouts and every time you should have stood up for yourself but you didn't. It's all stored up here. It's not forgotten. And that's the information our brain uses to convince us over and over again that we're not confident or intelligent or whatever else. And it works because we're looking at those things as fixed identities. Things that you either have because you're born with them or you don't. But in truth, your identity is not a destination. You don't just become confident one day, unfortunately. It's not a label. It's a track record filled with the data that you give it. What do I mean by that? Look at this car again. This car is not reliable because there's a huge sticker on the front saying reliable. It's reliable because for 365 days, the engine turned over and the brakes held. Reliable is just a summary of its behavior. Similarly, your identity is a summary of your behavior. How you speak to yourself, how you speak to others, how you act, etc. And that's why you can't just think your way into a new identity. You have to give your brain undeniable new evidence. Think about every time you make a little promise to yourself. Every time you say, "I'm going to do X tomorrow," and you don't do it, which I'm sure all of us have done more than once just today. You are essentially lying to yourself every time you do that. You're telling yourself that I'm not trustworthy. So that's the evidence that your brain uses when the next time you think of taking a risk or doing something big, your brain looks at that evidence and says, "Yeah, well, I don't believe you." And why would it? You've given it evidence that you don't show up for who you are. That is what you have to change with data. The only way to change that is to look at your brain like an empiricist. It looks at the evidence without looking at the intentions. When you've spent so long breaking the promises that you've made to yourself, the trust that you have in yourself is completely gone, and so is your self-esteem. And you have to start keeping those promises to rebuild that. Whether that's just drinking water in the morning when you say that you will, or pressing your snooze button only once when you say that you will. As you stack those small wins, your internal narrative is gonna shift. You're gonna rebuild that self-esteem. And so things like confidence or intelligence will look like logical conclusions rather than forced affirmations. Now you might be thinking, Aarushi, well, all that's great and nice. I'm glad you figured out how to take a compliment and start believing your nice, sweet comments, but people aren't exactly lining up to tell me how great I am. And to that I say, we all bear the brunt of criticism, especially nowadays. But information asymmetry works both ways. Just as the people praising us don't know as much about us as we do, the people that are criticizing us also don't know as much about us. And we all know that. So why does it hurt so bad when someone criticizes us? Well, I think it's because deep down, we have evidence of what they're saying to be true. Think about it. If someone came up to me right now and said, your blue hair is horrible, I wouldn't really be hurt. I wouldn't even be confused because I don't have blue hair for now. But if someone came up to me and called me lazy and that ruined my week, it's probably because my brain just pulled up data of me procrastinating last night. So that hurt that you feel when someone criticizes you, that's not something to be ashamed of. That is information. It's an admission that in some small way, you believe what they're saying to be true. Now, instead of shrinking away with shame or getting all defensive and fighting them over it, what you could do is use that as a roadmap. If someone called you unreliable and it really hurt, start showing up. Start being there for people. And eventually, as you stack those small wins, eventually those labels, whether they're coming from yourself, not accepting compliments, or whether they're coming from other people, will not be true. Because the evidence of who you are today will not match what they're calling you. So stop trying to convince the world that you're confident or intelligent or capable, because the world is already convinced by your 1080 pixel snapshot. Start convincing the only person that has the raw footage, yourself. Your identity is just data points, so start logging in small wins, even if it's as small as only pressing snooze once tomorrow. Thank you.